my swim time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my swim time. Gonna mess up your whole mind. This is my swim time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my swim time. Gonna mess up your whole mind.
Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce tonight's guest. I am talking to PW4U. Phil, how are we doing, mate? Are you good?
I'm not too shabby, Tom, mate. How about yourself?
I'm 5x5, dude. All good, all good. Sat here, looking forward to this chat. Obviously followed Pro Wrestling for You for a long time. Some awesome matches. Obviously, you've come up on previous guests, conversations. Lady Anna, Sasha's mentioned you a few times, and a few other people as well. Obviously, Isaac. So yeah, I've been kind of waiting on this episode for a while. So I'm glad to finally get to talk to you.
No, mate, honestly, this is my pleasure. I don't get a chance to do much podcasting at the minute. We've got our own podcast that is kind of sat by the wayside. Just trying to find enough hours in the day. Obviously, real life takes over, doesn't it? And you just got to do what you can. Obviously, promoting shows is the be-all in the sort of top of the pile. Anything else after that, just has to fall in where it can. And so I was just so happy. You said, mate, I'm down for it. It might be a month or two, but pencil with this date in. And yeah, all good to go. So honestly, mate, this is absolutely my pleasure.
Awesome, cheers, dude. So yeah, obviously, we're talking about. We'll jump straight in there as well. You're on about hyping your shows. You've got shows to promote, shows to plan, to book. You've got Welcome to the Duck Pond in a few weeks. Awesome looking card. I put it on Twitter earlier, and if people haven't seen the card, it is on our Twitter. Or obviously, please follow Pro Wrestling for You, keeping up to date with what they're doing. But yeah, mate, that card's looking stacked.
We do well. I think someone said to me one time, there's a couple of quotes that kind of stick in my head. Someone called us the Monty Python of pro wrestling, which he said that to me literally right at the end of a show when my brain is fried, when I've got 200 people's names I've got to put on seats, and I've got to remember all the wrestlers' wages and the venue requirements. And my brain is just mashed potatoes at the end of the show. And someone came up to me and said that. I was like, oh, okay. I'm Monty Python. Hopefully they meant it as a compliment. And they says, well, look at what you've got on here. And then they said, bear in mind, this was 2015, 16, somewhere in that kind of ballpark. You had Don Micho on, obviously this big ginger monster of a guy. You had Matt Brooks doing his Operamania stuff. You had Keith Myatt, who was born at 60 and he's remained at 60, kicking everyone's asses. You had Sexy Kev being a male stripper, and he just says it's just nuts, but it's the Monty Python of pro wrestling. I was like, oh, I'll happily take that.
Take that as a massive compliment. You know what I mean? They're widely loved and appreciated by many, many people, and it's a very sort of like, yeah, you know what I mean? If you like it, you like it. You get that they've got that die-hard fan base, which you guys have got. I want to quickly sort of bring up, you sort of mentioned a few years ago, but we've talked about it before I hit record. You guys have been around for like nearly 14 years now. You started in 2011. That's awesome.
Mate, it's nuts because when I started wrestling training, that was 2007. It was with a company called PW4U. It's no longer around anymore, but it's called British Wrestling Alliance here in Stoke. And I did sort of 4 years with them. So 2007 to 2010-ish, moved on, did some things, kind of fell out with the owner of PW4U. He was very much that old school mentality of, if you train with us, you don't train anywhere else. And I don't think that's a good way of doing business. I understood why he does it. I completely understood, but I don't personally think that's good for business, especially we're only doing one training session per month. So you'd be taking bumps on the wooden floor with a thin mat, not in the ring. And your body couldn't get used to it. So you'd have the following 2-3 weeks after walking around like you've left your coat hanger in your shirt, just all tensed. And by the time the next month comes along, your body's just let up. You do it again, and you're like, oh, for God's sake. And then, 2011, it was just a case of, I'm gonna got myself a decent job at the time. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. And as if you look at the card from that first show, it was nuts. There's a few names on there we can't mention, because of the speaking out movement, things like that. Obviously, we kind of have to preface all podcasts now with, if we mention anyone in speaking out movement, we do so only in the relevance to discuss who was on the show, but they'll no longer be on any shows we're a part of course. But it was like an 8-match card. We had 2 big cars down from Scotland. We had Lionheart, God rest him, R.I.P. We had like Fight Club, Zach Gibson. Like, I swear, Zach Gibson fine-tuned his heelness. He'll say it every so often, but he wasn't aware that Stokies and Scousers don't like each other, because people say Stokies sound like Scousers. So when he went out and the sort of student crowd of that first show just started shouting, "You Scouse bastard," he's kind of looking around thinking, where's this coming from? Like, just am I allowed to swear on this, by the way? I should have asked.
Yeah, go for it, mate, fine.
But like, and he just started, like, you could see it ticking into his head. He came backstage after, was like, okay, there's something here. Just lean on into his Scouseness, and I think he's done all right for himself. I'd say. I think he's. Yeah, just what can I say? But when you see, whenever anyone else says it, you've come up to 14 years next year. It's really, really strange, because, like we said before, we clicked record on the show. I don't think of it in those kind of terms. I'm not sat there going, "There's another year done." I get through to the show. We do show day. It's manic. There's that clock permanently ticking. You got people showing up late, needing to leave early. There'll be money issues. There'll be ticket issues. Occasionally, you'll get an issue with the crowd. We've had one time in 14 years where someone in the crowd decided to throw up, I think it was a pint glass, at the ring during the show. This is 2019. Somewhere there. I think it's the 3rd show before COVID had hit, and how it missed everybody on the ring, we'll never know. But we've been lucky. But you've got all these different variables. That's probably the best word for it. And we never think of in that term, like, oh, we're 14 years deep. We just don't think of it. We just get to the next show, get to the next show, get to the next show, and then.
Well, so when you get to 15 years, dude, that needs to be you need to think about 15 years, dude. That needs to be celebrated. Yeah,
we're thinking of doing like a bit of a Hall of Fame, and there's one name there's got to be the first person for Hall of Fame, Keith Myatt. It couldn't be anybody else. He's going to outlive us all. There's a line, and I've seen that. Oh God, I don't know if I dare even mention these names, but Russell Brand and P. Diddy movie called Came to the Greek.
Yeah.
Where all British rock stars, they're going to outlive Miley Cyrus. I feel that way about Keith Myatt. He's going to outlive us all, Again, we're just mentioning people that have just been outed in media. It's going terribly.
Like you said, we mentioned them in context for something. We're quoting a film. Anybody knows me, I do film polls on Facebook, and I had to get them to the Greek in my poll the other day, just because I was like, you know what, it's separation. I enjoyed it when I watched it at the time. I still quote it now with "Stroke the Furry War." So there's certain things that are just like, yeah, all right.
The soundtrack to that movie is fantastic. There's no denying it at all.
Yeah, but no, it's fine. There's certain time things can be done. Like I said, it's okay. We can't be that defensive about obviously. So that is fine. Well, we can say that, and I'll keep saying "Stroke the Furry War" when I need to. But yeah, Keith Myatt is just, like I said, the dude was born at 60. He's an immortal 60-year-old.
I've got so many stories of Keith, and what, it's fine to be in this business a long time. Like when you said, oh, you've been in this business 14 years. Well, promoted for 14 years, but been in since 2007. So what's that getting on for 18 years, 17, 18 years? Math's not my strongest point. And then when you look in that context, you go, bloody hell, almost 2 decades. But I don't ever want to be in that mindset. If I ever heard myself say to someone, "Oh, I'm a vet, you should listen," that person needs to punch me in the face right there and then. I've seen some cool stuff. I've created some cool stuff. I've worked with some cool people like Zach Gibson, Tony Storm, loads of these kinds of people. But I'm never going to let that enter into my head and be like, yeah, I can rest on my laurels. No, not at all. You're always learning, and Keith is just the best example of that. He's in his 60s. He's still doing it, and he'll put anyone over. he's got the greatest mindset. He'll tell you off if you do something bad, and I did have to tell him off during a show, and it felt horrendous. It felt like telling Santa Claus off. Just had a pop at him, but it came from a good place. We did 2 shows in one day. I got dropped in to be the announcer a few days before that show. Our usual guy, Dan Terry, got COVID. So it was like extra pressure on top. We'd never done 2 shows before. And him and a wrestler called Geordie Stew, they kind of chucked each other on the merch table. And from where I was sat, it looked like a lot of broken, and drinks had gone over T-shirts. And I just kind of went backstage and kind of didn't tear into them both, but I wasn't kind. And people had to kind of calm Keith down. And Keith understood it from my point of view. I understood it from his point of view. I should have taken him to one side, and said that to him. But also, he's told me before when I've had to kind of discipline, if that's even the right word, other people that have either swore on the show or whatever the case may be. He says you treat the people at the top the same way they treat people at the bottom. If new people come in and they see older people on the shows being able to swear, being able to get away with murder, they're going to do it. You need to crack that whip. So when we kind of heard each other's sort of point of view, we go, you know what, look, I love you. And he says, I love you too. Like, I've never said I love you to my parents, by the way, let me just state. But to Keith, I'm going to happily say it to him. But he's still humble with that. Like, he'll joke about it, but he's still of the mindset of, no, you can always learn more. You can always see a different point of view. And yeah, he's without a doubt, he's everyone's Hall of Fame material. So yeah, 15 years deep. I think we'll do the proper Hall of Fame, and he's got to be it.
Definitely, I fully agree. And like you said, once you stop learning, you stop caring, in my opinion, kind of thing. Because if you think you've learned everything, then you're deluded, or you've gone past that part where you just don't care anymore. Because like you said, there's always something to learn. There's always somebody new coming along that knows something you don't. So it's like, okay, I can pick their brain for something. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Right, maybe that's a little bit different. We'll try that at some point. So always learning. And Keith's awesome as well. And he's, like you said, he's just got a brain for the business. I've seen him like in other promotions, just coming out and actually just not giving a toss kind of thing. But just for this, entertaining the fans. There's nothing he won't do kind of thing. If it makes sense and it entertains the fans, guys like, sorted.
He's dressed up as is it Deirdre Barlow with
PCW.
Yeah, I think the best bit about that is, right, so I know with Stephen Flodder, who runs PCW, we had to send Keith the wig back and the dress and whatever else, but he'd wrote Keith's address, but wrote to Deirdre Barlow. Now, Keith wasn't in to receive the parcel, and they couldn't fit it in the letterbox. So when you have to go to the Royal Mail office, you have to take ID with you to show that you are who you are. And he was there trying to explain to them for about half an hour, look, it's my address, here's my license, it's got the address on it. My name's quite obviously not Deirdre Barlow. And they were like, it's the name and the address has got to match. He was like, but it's Deirdre Barlow. And he was just there for like half an hour arguing with Royal Mail over the fact that him, a 65-year-old man, is not I think she's deceased, a deceased fictional soap star character. Just, I love it.
He wouldn't be on the phone to Stephen after that. They'd be like, you absolute melt, why have you done this to me, kind of thing. Why could you not have just put my name? You've just complicated it. It would just be like, jeez, that was awesome. But yeah, like I say, it's not, obviously, Keith's amazing, but you've got so much talent on the shows as well, kind of thing. As I was saying before, when I was looking at the Welcome to the Duck Pond card, obviously Isaac North. I love Isaac. I've had Isaac on the show a couple of times. For me, he is. He should be everywhere. What he brings to a show, his character, his mindset, his motivation, the passion. I had a guest on last week who basically said there's some pale imitations of Isaac out there, but there's only one Isaac North kind of thing. There's a few people that kind of notice in him and be like, I can do that. Like, you can try and do it. There's only one Isaac North. I
think it's because like if I think are you? Do you mind me asking? Are you like heavily tattooed?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you'd have a lot better option. If I've got a couple that I've got top of my arm and two on my back, so I wouldn't consider myself heavily tattooed. But like even if I go out with ripped jeans and I don't fake tan and I put some paint on, I can roar at the top of my voice. That's still not what he's doing. You believe it, and you know what? Like the amount of mums I get messages from that like give me his number, it's insane.
Sexy goth boy. I told you, sexy goth boy.
It's absolutely nuts. Like the kids are kind of like just kind of being taken back, like you'd imagine, because they're kind of looking a bit, and he'll do this big roar at them, and he kind of shock them. But the mums are just like putting on extra lippy. You can see them in the foot. We've got photos of them. Mums, there's a really good photo. If I can find it, mate, I'll send it you. It's brilliant. They're like all mums stare at him. I mean, even some of the dads stare at him. He's a good looking dude, but there's a photo somewhere. It's within the past year and a half. It might take me a while to find it, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. At the start of the match, the Tony Knox, the photographer, world famous, loveliest guy in the world, is taking a photo from behind Isaac, looking out at the crowd. You can kind of see the crowd kind of reacting, and that's at the very, very start. By the end of the match, he's taken another photo of him, and there's a mum putting on lipstick while staring at him with her tongue out, like. Mums go crazy for him. It's nuts, but don't want to ruin his gimmick or anything. But he's also one of the nicest guys in the world, and he gave me a smooch at the end of last year. He did my last show of the year last year, and I took him to one side, and he was teaming with Rarebit. We kind of wanted them to be a tag team, and we had some sort of booking issues rare, but we had like sort of dates conflicting and this sort of thing. So it was like a struggle, because I always had to say to Isaac, mate, I'm sorry, the match of you and Rarebit, it can't go ahead that way. We'll have to move you into singles. We'll put you with someone else, such and such and such. So I messed him around a lot, and I just took him to one side at the end of the show last year. I said, mate, I just want you to know, everything you do, I appreciate, and I appreciate that no matter what I come to you and say, mate, this has come up, this is what we need to change, you go with it and you make everything work. And he just said, mate, honestly, it's a pleasure. Turn around, full on kiss me on the lips. That is one handsome, good kissing bloke.
There you go. Just to make all the mums out there jealous, you can sit there and be like, "Yeah, there you go. You know, I've smooched that sexy goth boy."
I'd walked back in, and my missus kind of like looked at me. She's like, "You're right." I said, "I don't know. I think Isaac's made me very sexually confused."
He is a good-looking dude. Nothing wrong with that. That's like, you know what? Yeah, there's definitely a bromance going on. But yeah, I just think the guys, like you said, you know, it's just the complete package. He's just absolutely tearing it up. And what he's doing for you guys, I think, is awesome. And you put him in a match with Troy, him and Troy as a tag team. That's some big meat, mate. That is a big team to overcome.
So obviously, this is one thing we do with pro wrestling. This is not me meddling with people's characters, but we were saying obviously before the show started, our crowd can be a bit strange, but in a really good way. And I thought when I met the two Synergy guys, obviously now Meat Wagon, but kind of with us super athletes, I wanted to pitch them an idea that was just them two, because there was four of them in Synergy, and they kind of swap and change. And I was like, no, I want just you two, just the two big guys, to be kind of like Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. That's who I have in my head as a really good heel, because you never cheer for Biff. He's not a cool bad guy. He's not trying to be cool. He's genuinely just an arse. And I was like, that's who I want. And I started picturing him. I said, well, can we lean into doing a bit of a Gladiators kind of vibe? And I thought they were going to just shit all over my words. They looked at each other and went, "Oh, Blade and Laser from Dodgeball." I was like, no, well, let's not go with those names, but yes, that's where we're going. And we started like chucking they literally just started chucking ideas around there and then, right on the spot. So there's me pitching to change their gimmick, and they went, yes, cool, can we be Gladiators? I'm like, ooh, I like Gladiators. And they just went with it. They just say yes to stuff, and they make it work. It's fantastic. Like, again, those two guys just say, yeah, we'll do it. no egos, and they should have an ego. They're both huge guys. They're both great in the ring. They both know what their role is. They should have big egos, and they're not. They're two absolute sweethearts. I'm ruining their gimmicks right now, but absolute sweethearts. But putting in Troy Ryan, or Destroyer as we named him, that's where he came up with his name. Is like, well, Troy Ryan Destroy, yeah. And then Anderson Daniels was like, I want to be Beast, but with a double E. Cool. Let's go do it. And then we gave him the Travelator music from Gladiators. So when they're doing the end game, the Eliminator, when the Travelator plays, it's kind of like heart pumping, but it doesn't make you want to clap along to it. It's great because it's egotistical, but it's upbeat. It ticks a box. But having both of those guys under Tom McManus's rule and putting them together, it's kind of like, okay, so the Goth meets the Jock, which I think Troy Ryan actually came out and sent a tweet out about that. It might have been Isaac, I can't remember, saying the Goth and Jock connection, which beautiful, and it just rolls with it. It doesn't need to. We just go, yep, cool, that works. Say it. Don't need to plan it. Don't need to get authorization. You just do it. That's what most of my team that come on board do. They're like, okay, we'll try that. We'll try some stuff out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But just being open to being creative and just trying, being a bit silly. So you've being a bit of that Monty Python-esque.
There you go. That's where it comes from as well. So yeah, that is genius. That's absolute genius. I'm needing to know somebody who knows Troy to run an idea by. Somebody came up. I'll shout out Daniel if he watches it. I'm not stealing it from him. He said it at a show we was at once. Somebody hit a meeting aura. I can't even say the word at the minute. A meeting aura. You know, when you jump off the top rope, knees on the shoulders. Bosh. Yeah. I can't say it for some reason. It's a word that I struggle to say. But Daniel was like, I think one of the meat wagons should do that and just call it the meeting aura. I was like, that's awesome.
I say, just where things just come out like that, and you go, yeah, cool, done, and it gets used, and you're like, for the amount of people that are in this crowd that are thinking everything is scripted, everything is pre-planned, everything is fake, everything is whatever. If that's what they think, cool, whatever. But they have no idea that like 10 minutes before they came out, they were like, we'll stick this in. We'll do it. It's so improvised. I don't think wrestling gets enough credit for the amount of improvisation we go down. It's like, whose line is it anyway? Hence why we've had a whose clothesline is it anyway? Before, that's my little tribute to Ryan Styles, Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady, all those guys on Who's Line. I've been watching since the early 90s. He was about 92, 94, when he was on late night. I mean, we're talking midnight.
Yeah.
I'm like 6 to 8 years old and watching that, not really understanding it, but knowing that I loved it.
I'm going to rewind. I think it was on before The Word on a Friday night on Channel 4.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yes. So, but yeah, I just pity the man who has to take that move off of Troy. If he wants to try it, awesome. Meeting aura, that's it. It's there. But for the poor guy who's on the receiving end of it, I apologise. Well,
Troy's relatively light on his feet. I mean, he's very, very nimble. I mean, for a guy, I wouldn't like to guess at what his weight is, but stocky chap, obviously carries it very bloody well. And again, should have an ego for the size that he is, and really doesn't. He's got a bit of body dysmorphia, and if he opens up and talks about it, it's fascinating because everyone in the locker room would be like, we want to look like you, and he's like, but I don't look good. And you're like, you do. but it's weird, obviously, if you get him to open up about it, he's fascinating when he's telling you about that sort of stuff. So he's very nimble. Anderson Daniels, on the other hand, not quite so. He kind of moves like a drunken baby, where they just kind of waddle around. And I mean that as a compliment to him. I mean, the amount of videos we've seen of him falling off the top rope, pranging his gonads over the rope, just uncoordinated, but just an absolute. He took one of our tag belts to Dubai. I said, can you do me a promo before you go? Not a problem, mate, not a problem. And he flew out to, I think it was like Dubai or whatever, because he's got a really decent job, and sent me the video. Like, wait, hang fire. Where have you done that video from? How sunny is it? And so no, I'm on the rooftop of my hotel in Dubai. Panned it round. You can see this glorious beach, all these massive buildings. Like, how much like did that weigh in your bag? You've only got a certain amount of like baggage allowance, and he took the tag belt with him to do a 45-second promo. I'm like, you should have just done it before when you got back, or just do the promo right at the belt. Like, the belt wasn't integral to it, but again, he's Anderson Daniels. He's just what else can I do for you? What else you know what? I've just said it there. In 14 years of wrestling for you, 17, 18 years of wrestling, I've only ever heard two wrestlers come up to me at the end of a show and say, what else do you want me to do? What else can I do for you? And that is both of your super athletes, both of Meatwagon, both of Synergy, Anderson Daniels and Troy Ryan. They both just go, mate, what else do you need doing? It's not like, oh, do you mind if we shoot off? Can we get paid and shoot? It's what else can we do for you? I can't say enough praise for them. They are top tier, wonderful human beings.
Amazing. Just think, so I love that team. They are, thankfully they've started turning up, because True Grit is kind of like my local promotion, and they've started turning up in True Grit a few times now. So I was just like, yes. As soon as they were announced at the Rumble, like at the start of the year, I popped. I was just like, yes. I've been watching this team on socials or YouTube as much as possible. And I finally got to get to see him in person, and yeah, absolutely amazing. Those guys should just be, arseholes. They could be, and I'd understand. But as you sort of said, they just sound like genuinely awesome, lovely human beings.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is not me trying to steal any thunder or anything like that, but because we've had JC Thunder on our shows from obviously so one of my exes is also one of JC Thunder's exes. And people think that should be weird. I'm like, no. JC Thunder is one of the nicest people you will ever meet. If my dog likes you, I like you. I'm that simple, because my dog's very picky. So my dog likes you, we're good. And my dog Gingerbread absolutely loved him. And so we started doing a bit of work with True Grit. Like, I was working his shows, he came to work with our shows, and he'd see people like Tony Wright and obviously Meatwagon, Sash, and all these people on Pro Wrestling for You. Got to work with them, got to know them, and we vet people quite well. We don't like any arseholes in the locker room. We want trust. We've never had any issues with anyone, nicking phones, nicking wallets. It's a very safe locker room. We all look after each other. We're one of the only promotions that I'm aware of that puts food and drinks in the locker room. They spend about 20 quid worth of food. There's always bananas, crisps, chocolate bars, water, energy drinks, pre-workout shots, things like that. And from working with other promoters, Troy, I think it's Troy Ryan, messaged me and just said, mate, JC's given us the nod, he's given us some bookings. Want to say thank you so much, because obviously working with him at your shows, that's when he spoke to us after. That's not me kissing my own ass. That's just going, you know what? I want to be surrounded by people I trust, people I like, and I want them to network and connect and work elsewhere with other people that I like and that I trust. And it's wonderful to see them and other people doing all these shows, like say for True Grit and for Burnley and all these kind of companies. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Dude, of course. I'm a massive mark for wrestling promotions working together, collaborating, helping each other, networking. So yeah, as a True Grit fan, thank you so much for that. I was going to mention at some point, obviously, you've had JC Thunder and Nash as your tag champs at some point. I can only imagine what kind of chaos just having Nash on your shows would have caused.
Because again, Nash might be one of the best improvisers in professional wrestling. He doesn't need to be told anything, and he just wants you to laugh. And he'll look out in the crowd, and kids he knows are going to laugh at him. Mums are going to find him adorable. It's the dads that have got like the hands under their arms that don't want to be there. They're taking the kids to the show, and the dads just don't want to be there. And Nash targets them, and you can just watch in any of the footage of the matches he's done for us. The dads start kind of leaning forward. And that's when he knows he's got him, because he's like, yep, they're on board. And then the dads are the ones that are having photos with Nash at the end of the show. Because he kind of remind me of Mr. Bean. I used to love Mr. Bean when I was a kid. And it just starts going from there. But with the sort of improvisation, when we knew we were going to put the tag belts on him, right before we were going out for that match. I think it was me announcing that show again. My regular announcer Daniel Terry. I can't remember if it was COVID or he had a wedding. One of the two. And I said to Nash, Luke, at the end of the match, you've got the tag belts. It's going to be you two. I think Anna was in the ring with them as well. And I said, I'm going to ask you to pick a tag team name. Don't decide it now. We're going to do it when we're out there. We're going to get some ideas from the crowd, and that's what we're going with. And Nash is like, are you sure this will go really bad? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So they win the tag belts. Both of them are just sweating over me. I'm like, oh, you're ruining my suit, bloody hell. I look like the Riddler because I've got like a nice sort of green suit on. Guys, you're the new person for you tag team champions, JC Thunder and Nash. Do you have a tag team name? And give the mic to Nash, and he starts asking kids in the crowd. And one kid shouts something like, it wasn't rude, but it was just terrible. It's sort of like the fluffy teddies or something. He went, yep, we're not having that anymore. And some kid just shouts out, the Thunder Brothers. He's like, that's it, with the Thunder Brothers. And we just went from there. Now, as happy as I was, I've got a bit of a lisp. There's certain words that I can't say. So if we're counting to 5, I get to 1, 2, 4, 5, because I can't roll my THRs. So when we're going Thunder Brothers, it just comes out a bit lispy. So when I was dead happy, I was like, okay, no one swore. It's a good name. Give it up for trying to get my tongue. Thunder I hate you all. But again, it's improvising, isn't it? You just got to go with it, and it's so organic. It's not like so set in stone, and that's what makes wrestling fun. When we got people going, bet that wasn't planned. Like, you've got to improvise. You've got to do those kind of things. I don't like any matches where everything's planned down to the T. And I hate saying that because Macho Man Randy Savage, big hero of mine, he's famous for like point 1 lock up, point 2 wrist lock. But and like when people bring that up as a negative, I say, but he made it look organic, so he's a super genius. But,
that's it. That's the get out clause. Like I said, it didn't look mechanical. It didn't look structured. It was smooth. It was fluid. And it shows how good he was. So. Yeah,
I think it was mentioned on the Steve Austin podcast. I can't remember who he was interviewing, but I know the other guy said, it kind of ruins it for me, the fact knowing that he wrote all these points. And I go, no, because him and Steamboat, was he WrestleMania 3? Yeah. 3, I'm going to say it. It looks so organic that you go, if you can make something that's planned within an inch of its life look that organic, you are beyond an artist. You are whatever beyond an artist is. That's what they are. So I love that match even more, knowing that it was planned to a T and it was one of the best it'll ever be. But when I've done countless bloody wrestling seminars over the past few years, I teach improvisation, which sounds almost like an oxymoron. How do you teach to improvise? But you know what I mean? How do you plan to not plan, or not plan to plan? And I do it the same way that my drama teacher in high school back in the 90s, because I'm old, taught me. There was in our drama class, about 20 people, there's 4 guys, 16 girls. We bloody loved it. It was amazing. And no tables, no chairs. You're just a big square room. The teacher pushed you all over to one side. He said, I'm going to point at you, give you a character. You're going to enter the scene. I'm going to give you no lines. And you're going to keep talking until I tell you to leave. Okay. And so she pointed at me and she goes, you're the dad. Point at a girl. You're the mom. You're arguing over your son who's going to come in soon. Go. You just go, it's your bloody son too. And you just start improvising. You stumble over your words. You're like, come on, give me something. But that kind of improvisation makes you brilliant. That should be taught in wrestling schools. So then she'd point at you, like another one. You're the son, and you've got a pronounced limp on your left foot. And he'd just walk into the scene. She'd point at someone else and go, you're the family dog, and you couldn't complain. So she would walk on pretending to be a dog on all fours, and you're trying to not laugh because you're straight face. And if you start laughing, she treated it the same as whose line is it anyway. She'd point and push to one side. So it means you failed. So you have to keep straight face completely, and you kind of leave, and then she'd send you back into the scene again. Phil, you're the Stegosaurus that lives next door. Go. And you just have to be okay with it. You're like, okay. And you just walk in and Yeah, but like that's what I teach, because like how many times have we seen we've had a top rope break, we've had the ring cave in, and this was 2013, 2014. Sam Bailey and Cyanide had a dance off and broke the ring. Halfway into the show, we had to do the rest of the show. Like how many times, like, the amount of variables in wrestling, like that change everything. Like when that person chucked a pine glass during the show, that was just after the interval. There was 2 matches. They chucked the pine glass. We had to stop the show, get him out, and his mate went out to him, and before he was going to try to drag him in, his mate knocked him out because he kept trying to get back in, which is weird. And you know what I mean? Like those kind of variables, you can't plan for that. So if you can't plan for it, you've got to plan for the unplannable. So that's where improvisation comes in. Watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? I tell anyone that will listen in wrestling, watch Whose Line. Just put it, it's on Channel 4, it's all for free, especially the 90s stuff. It is brilliant. It's just very unplanned, organic, wonderful. If you fail, fine, don't worry about it. If it's not funny, fine, don't worry about it.
If it's not funny, you'll get another shot in 60 seconds.
Yeah. One of the best bits of advice I ever got was from a stand-up comedian, and I have no idea who gave this advice, and I hate the fact that I don't know it, because my two loves growing up, stand-up comedy and professional wrestling. That's all I ever wanted to be around. And one of these comedians, who I had no idea who said this, he said, if it's going great to a performer, if it's going great, get off. If it's going shit, get off. And I never understood, because I get it. You know what I mean?
I say the whole thing about wrestling is like, you know, it is just unpredictable. So yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, you know, to try and prep people for that. Like I said, it's daft as it sounds, trying to prep for the unexpected, but you can stretch them muscles, you can work those muscles. So when something unexpected does happen, it doesn't phase you. You can kind of just, you flow with it, you go with it. Because just your basic stuff, like, you know, the fans not reacting to what you think they're going to react to. So you have to mix it up during the match. You know, it's like somebody goes out working face, somebody goes out working heel, but the audience have got it totally the other way. And it's like, oh crap, right, we need to do a double turn here.
You've got, like, as well as like outside factors as well. So on the last show we did, which was back in May, we kind of took summer off. I wanted a holiday. I've not been on holiday since 2017. So I wanted a broad holiday, take the missus. So we've had a good few months off. So end of May was our last show, the Keith Myatt Cup, and I'm the DJ at the show. My regular DJ is kind of taking a year off. He's having a bit of personal time, and I'm on the DJ booth, and took forever to get it working right. I'm literally twiddling knobs and pushing levers like I'm clueless, but managed to get it working after the first. And during the Benjamin Harland and Leonardo da Silva match, a police car went past the venue at the start of their match, and so the siren starts going off, and you can't deny it. Like, it's loud as anything. We're on the main road, and so they just start going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are we getting arrested? And the crowd just start belly laughing, like falling out of their seats, belly laughing. So then the stuff that they never planned in the changing room, they just start putting in. So they're kind of like lock up, throw each other off, lock up again, throw each other off, and go, hey, hands behind your back. And they just started making each other laugh, and everyone in the room was just creasing himself for laughter. And he just carried it on throughout the match. Anytime they get in, like I think Harlan snapped Eddie, and he's just got him in a bit of a chin lock and they're just taking a breather. And then he's Leonardo Silva just shouts on up, "You'll never take me alive, copper!" And again, everyone just burst out with laughter. But that's not something anyone could have planned. The show ran over a little bit. It started a bit late. That would have fouled during the interval, give or take, if it had started on time, which no one would have found funny. But it made it was due to be a bit of a comedy match. It made it a very comedic match and just set the tone. And people were just falling about laughing. And everyone wanted to come up and wanted photos with them both after the end of the show. Lionel's quite a bit of a new guy for us, and he's a bit nervous and whatever, but he's just like, okay, I got it. I get you. A bit of comedy. You don't need to plan heavy into your match. You can just do a couple little bits, stick some comedy in. Because this is, apologies for going off on tangents. This is my little brain working at its capacity. Like when people say, if I go along to a hardcore wrestling show like is it Kumite? Is that how we say it?
Yeah.
or your ICWs, any of those kind of hardcore wrestling thing. I'm not a hardcore wrestling guy. I genuinely don't like seeing people hurt. That's not my bag at all. But stick a bit of comedy in, and I am all about it. Now, comedy in the UK is universal. Nearly, no matter who you show Only Fools and Horses to, or Bottom, or say the
Fawlty
young
Towers.
ones. Yeah, Fawlty Towers, Porridge, The Office. I've just rewatched The Office. Oh, beautiful. Like, comedy in the UK is universal. So no matter what style of wrestling you like, given comedy in any kind of that, whether it's a British wrestling style or hardcore style or very sort of super indie, super kick kind of style, give them comedy to a British audience is just, it's perfect. It's you can't fail at all. Give them something funny to laugh at, and the crowd is like just in your hands. It's wonderful. Like, I remember going on to a Fight Club Pro show. It was 8 matches of all super indie stuff. You had people kicking out of finishers and a million super kicks. And I find, not shitting on it, I'm not being horrible or anything, but it wasn't to my taste. I kind of want a bit of a story. I want a reason. And saw Session Moth Martina, and she was brilliant. She was the comedy relief that I needed. I love it. Obviously, you're not going to have an entire show full of comedy. You wouldn't go to a circus and have an entire circus full of clowns. I get it. Everyone's got their own place. You want a bit of everything. But I think with a British crowd, you can be more than generous with comedy. Treat British wrestling like a carvery. The amount of tater on a carvery is a good solid 60%, whether it's mashed or roast or dauphinoise, whatever. British wrestling and comedy go hand in hand. If you lean into a bit of funniness, the crowd's in your hands. Can't fail. They're gonna forgive you if you miss some spots. They're gonna forgive you if you hate the word botch. If you're gonna botch a little bit, make them laugh, and they are in your hand forever, because they'll go to the interval and go, did you see this? Did you see the Nash? He got to try getting the ring at the start of the show, and he fell over, and he's probably like Mr. Bean.
Yeah. I fully agree. I think, like I said, it's just, I've been saying for months, I'm a massive, again, because True Grit's my local promotion, because I'm in Leeds, I've seen Nash for the last 15 years kind of thing. I started watching British wrestling at the same time as he started getting into it kind of thing. So we've my journey in British wrestling has coincided with his journey kind of thing. And for me, I just think every promotion, if it's not Nash, needs somebody like that. It's just a little bit of comedy, a little bit of comic relief. I love everything about wrestling. I do enjoy the deathmatch stuff. I enjoy the flippy stuff. I love the super indie, super kick stuff. I love just big men slapping meat. Give me all of that kind of sort of stuff, but a little bit of comedy as well. You've got to, the slapping meat could be comedy as well. But I just think it's needed. You can't not have a show without having at least some comedy on it.
Could I kind of impart? Could I ask you a question? Also impart something how I think. So, how many different types of wrestling fan are there?
Well, I think you've got your out and out deathmatch fans who will just watch like your Kumites, Bleeding Gums, that kind of sort of stuff. I think you've got your families. Like you said earlier, you've got the wife, the husband, and the kid. The parents are generally there because the kid wants to go along, but the parents are there kind of against the will, but keep the kids happy. You've got your first-time fans who have seen wrestling on TV, seen a poster, want to go check it out. And you've kind of got your loyal fans, who go to every show. And there's probably a few in between, grey areas between those kind of descriptions. I would say that's, and your smart fans.
So what do you reckon? Put a number to it for me, just out of interest.
5. I'd say about 5.
So this is how I think, because when I learn about wrestling, I don't learn about wrestling from wrestling. I learn about it from other businesses and things like this. So every other business in the world, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's Marvel, whether it's Pro Wrestling for You, I know I'm sticking our name in there against these giants. Of course I am. And like every business in the world has got 3 types of fans. I wouldn't make this up because I wouldn't say the number 3. As you can tell by the way I say it. But every business has got 3 types of fans. You've got your sort of super diehard, which business is called super heavy users. So these are people that would go to McDonald's every day for breakfast. They've seen every Marvel film, every Marvel TV show. They've got the merch. Everything. They super heavy users. Same with McDonald's. They might go once a day, they might go twice a day, they might get it delivered. They may even work at McDonald's and still get an Uber Eats of McDonald's. Super heavy users. You've got your casual. So you've got people that go to McDonald's every so often. They kind of know what they want when they're going to it. They already kind of know roughly. They might not know what the latest McFlurry is, but they've got they know what they're going in for, things like that. And if you compare that to Marvel as well, they've seen most of the main films. They probably missed a couple of TV shows like, I don't know, She-Hulk or... yeah, or they've probably not seen Morbius or whatever, but they've seen this. They've seen, yeah, I know, they've seen the majority of the main ones. And you compare that to McDonald's. You got to say casual, might go once a week, something like that. They know roughly what they want before they go there. And you've got brand spanking new. So people have never been to McDonald's before. So typically like young kids or old people. People have never watched a Marvel film. They've just never dipped into the superheroes wearing capes and things like that. And wrestling is the exact same. So at every single show, no matter what company it is, what country it's in, what style of wrestling, it all follows this exact same pattern. 3 types of fan. So we've got people that'll book tickets the very next day. As soon as we change the bit on our big cartel shop to the next poster, and we kind of change a few details. If it's a different venue, they'll buy tickets. They won't even wait for a poster. They won't even wait for a match. They go, we love Person Few. We're coming to it. We know where they're going to sit. We know their names. They'll invite us to parties. Super heavy users. Everything we do, they're all about it. You've got people that casual fans. They will kind of pop in. They might come to every other show. Or if I'm working, okay, I've got to work. I'm not going to book a day off to go to the wrestling, but I'll go to half to 2/3 of the Person Few shows. Compare it to McDonald's, Marvel as well. And then you've got brand spanking new people that take a chance and go, you know what? I've got my nephews this weekend. They seem to like wrestling. I've never been to see it. I'll take them along. And so if what the performers are doing isn't appealing to each of those 3 groups, you're just dividing the crowd down by 1/3 each time. So if you could say, if we take it with, look at Marvel. So we'll go with Marvel for example on this one. At the start of the films, they give you a catch up of anything you may have missed, so that you can, if you're brand spanking new, like at the start of Thor: Love and Thunder, it gives you a catch up of who the God Butcher is. He gives you a clue why he is what he is, and things like this. He gives you a bit of a catch up with Thor and how he's lost all the weight, blah blah blah. So you are appealing to all 3 of those groups. McDonald's kind of does something similar. They'll obviously put adverts out. You'd think a company like McDonald's or Coca-Cola, why would they ever need to advertise anymore? Everyone knows them the world over, because there's always going to be that brand spanking new fan that's never heard, never taken a chance. That's why they still do it. And it's the same with wrestling. So if people like Nash, it's a great example. He appeals to all 3 groups. That's why everyone wants a photo with him. Everyone wants his merch. Everyone wants. If people are coming up to you at the end of the show and wanting photos with you and stuff like that, you're stuck in their memory so much. But it's older people, new people, young people, die-hard fans. Appeals to each of those 3 groups. So when I've kind of done seminars and things like that, and I say to them, give me this number. How many different types of wrestling fan are there? And I'll get, there's one. It's a fan. That's it. I'm like, that's quite a nice. It's quite a nice sort of idea that we're all just a fan, which I quite it's quite like. Some go, 20, 25, 30, 40. I'm like, no, come out of the bubble of wrestling, because the world is bigger than wrestling. I love it to bits. It's the best thing in the world, apart from my dog and my missus. I said my dog before my missus. She might hate me when she listens to this back. Sorry, Katie. But every business follows that exact same thing. So if you can appeal to all 3 groups of potential fan, potential customer, potential punter, potential mark, whatever, you win. So any new people coming into the business, any trainees, whatever, if your gimmick is so niche, and some of the emails we've had over the years, I'm lost for words, but that might appeal to 2 people in the audience that get it, and they get it fully. And I understand representation is very, very important. If you've got a crowd of 300 people and 2 get it, that's 298 sat on their hands. That's not good at all. But that's my mindset. Apologies, it's a load of waffle, and for anyone listening to this,
No.
this guy's definitely on something. That's just how business is. But you've got to not think of wrestling as wrestling. You've got to think of wrestling as a business, because that's how other businesses do it. It's Coke, Marvel, McDonald's, whoever, whatever. That's how they treat it, and I think they're doing pretty well.
Well, dude, to be fair, you've been running 14 years, so, I would heed what you say. You know what you are talking about. You're not talking bollocks, because, you'd have gone out of business in 2 years if that was the case. So, and it's a good way of thinking about it. It does make sense. I thought I was cutting myself short by saying 5, but yeah, like you said, the 3 things, you got to simplify it. And like I said, you've got to put it in a context that would work in any kind of business structure, so yeah, makes all the sense in the world to me. So, it is a good way of looking at it. So hopefully, people find that useful. If the penny drops and somebody's watching this and being like, actually, yeah, that kind of does make sense. Because I do like to think, I've guest-wise, I've had people on the show that have a year into the journey, 20 years into the journey. I do like to speak to people like as they're just getting started, kind of thing, just because they are so passionate and eager. And hopefully, some of them come back and watch, later episodes. So there you go. Yeah, that's if they can get some wisdom from this, awesome.
I mean, I don't know how much more wisdom's going to come out of me, but even a blind squirrel will occasionally find a nut. So I say, yeah.
There we go. I'm going to bring it up to you mentioned one half of them earlier. Obviously, Act 2, a team that I like to shout out whenever possible, when I know they've worked for a promotion as well. Very much, like Synergy or Meatwagon. I had the pleasure of watching them at True Grit recently. They took on Crash Boat. I just think, I think Act 2 are just the bee's knees, elbows, every single part of a beat kind of thing. One of the best tag teams in this country for me. And obviously, you guys use them a lot.
Yeah, it's like someone was asking me about sort of tag teams, because I was trying to put a tag team together. Now, occasionally we've had really good luck with that. When we teamed to 2015, 16, somewhere there. We teamed Noah up with Matt Brooks. They both got big frizzy hair, but Matt's chiseled within an inch of his life. And Noah was just kind of normal, a bit doughy, but I'm not saying that to be mean, but just kind of regular with the paint and the bear and whatever. And the crowd just accepted him, called him the Barmy Army, because that's a bit of a Stokey sort of football chant. And they just kind of took him on. And I thought, well, because they don't, aside from the hair, they don't really look alike. How come the crowd accepted them more than they accepted other teams that we've tried to put together? Is it the performers willing it so? Is it just something that seems to fit you? I mean, is it a combination of the two? And someone asked me about Act 2 a while ago. And I said, well, they don't really look alike. I mean, they're both sort of young guys, early 20s. But I always see them as kind of like Miz and Morrison, whereas Miz and Morrison didn't look anything alike, especially at the time. But it just worked, and you just accepted it. You didn't go, nah, they stuck 2 single guys together. And I hate when they do that. Whenever they put Billy Gunn and Big Show together, or I'm shitting on Big Show, but Big Show and Jericho. Yeah. Just when they're just crowbarring it in, because they're different. Sometimes dead different work. Sometimes it just doesn't. But Act 2 for me are kind of like Miz and Morrison. They don't necessarily look alike, but they work. You just go, yep. Look at it.
They both love Motor City Machine Gun, though. I think that was the mutual appreciation that kept them together.
Yep.
So much so that they told me, I can't remember who it was, somebody pulled him to one side and was like, you're just basically being Motor City Machine Gun. And they was like, oh crap, yeah, right, okay, we need to do some of our own stuff.
I'm trying to think, I can rename it Stoke City.
Stoke City air rifle. I don't know. BB gun. Stoke City BB gun.
Yeah, see, I mean, just his ideas just fall out of us. So.
That's awesome. I'm just pointing to the outside of the hand instead of the other. There we go. Stokes. Oh wow. And the merch, mate. The merch is just awesome. You can just imagine it. I've got to talk about the show names. So I talked about this before. We hit record kind of thing. And dude, you've had some absolutely belter names. By the Power of Grayskull has got to be one of my favourite ever names for a show.
we always kind of like lean into He-Man a little bit because that's just what I watched when I was growing up. You know, weird segue, but I do these things on my phone. Like I fill surveys out on my phone, and they send me Amazon cards, Amazon gift cards for filling out these surveys. And there's a Castle Grayskull unofficial Lego set on Amazon. It's like £100, and I'm about 85 quid up on my surveys. And so once that gets to 100, I am ordering Castle Grayskull. It's so good. It's like, obviously it's unofficial Lego. It's like blocky blocks or I don't know, something. But like we always come back to He-Man, and we always come back to the TV shows that I grew up on. I mean, the November show for this year is Masters of the For Universe. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? It's always there. It's just pretty much anything I watched growing up will find its way in. But I will name shows after, like my missus. We had like a Friends related show called I'll Be There For You, which again, beautiful. She's a big Friends fan, and I was like, I love my missus to bits. Like she's the best. So I was like, you know what? I'm naming the show after you. This is exactly why we're doing it. Plus, obviously, it's nice that it kind of crowbars the Pro Wrestling For You pun name into it, but also it's just nice to be able to say, look, I don't know how to show you how much I appreciate you. This show's going to be named after you. We'll use the Friends theme to open the show. The poster had like the little they did the purple door and like the little yellow thing, I don't know what you'd call it, like the photo frame around the thing.
Around the people kind of thing. Yeah.
Then so we'll kind of do that, but it's I very rarely put show names on posters. This is one thing I always find really weird. It doesn't make any odds. Now, okay, I think it was last year or the year before last, we did do it because we were naming them after TV shows. So we wanted people to see the Top of the Pops logo, like with the colours to kind of hit that nostalgia thing in the red. So they'd see it, they see the colours and go, okay, I've seen what they've done there. And then we did Only Pile Drivers and Oatcakes, like on Fools and Horses. You Can't Beat a Bit of Bully, full of Bullseye theme show. Saved by the Ring Bell, because we had like a live band on, and I knew I was going to be the announcer for that show, and I've always wanted to walk out on a show with a live band playing, and they were playing the Saved by the Bell theme tune. Amazing. But it doesn't have to go on the poster. I never think it doesn't mean anything. Just put live. Would be very the logo's tiny on our posters. It says live pro wrestling, and then the little duck logo, and because it's not going to do anything for you. So if it's on the poster, like when it's got to mean something, it's got to sell a ticket. But I think we've got some pretty cool names. Say, Whose Clothesline Is It Anyway? That's probably one of my favourites. That was what was going to be our podcast title. But we'd already started recording Snap, Crackle and Cheap Pops, and we kind of went with it before we came across Whose Clothesline Is It Anyway? But yeah, it's just because I'm the boss. I've got no one to tell me no. Like if it's terrible, someone will jump in and go, That's dog shit, Phil. That's absolute dog shit. I mean, we Welcome to the Duck Pond coming up in just shy of 2 weeks, and some people have said, why? He says, well, it's kind of like Welcome to the Jungle. We embraced the duck on our logo because Stokies called each other duck. It's on all of our merch. It's instantly recognizable. Like you think of the amount of businesses with a mascot, you'll break. You think of McDonald's. Sorry to keep mentioning it, but you think Ronald McDonald, that creepy ass clown. Your mind instinctively goes there. You think of Frosties, you go to the tiger. You know what I mean? Give a mascot, and you kind of softens it a little bit and makes it more recognizable. And you go, oh yeah, the one with the duck. Perfect. So we just went with I love Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the Jungle. We'll play that to open the show, but Welcome to the Duck Pond, and we'll go from there. I think we're going to do a Game of Thrones show next year to try and time it in line with House of the Dragon, and probably just call it like House of the Duck, something like that House as well.
Yeah. You need to get JC on the phone though, mate. I think he's nicked your duck idea because they're selling rubber ducks at True Grit now for Nash Boat. So, you know what I mean? They're kind of stepping on the duck tail a little bit. I think, you know, there could be some trademark infringement.
I mean, well, what's like, is Leeds got a famous, I don't know football. I'm going to out myself now. I'm terrible with football. I feel like I'm in the IT crowd when people mention football. I'm like, yeah, go sports. clueless. But like, does Leeds have like an animal mascot that's famous, or any kind of like animal that's rose?
Well,
Red
Leeds
roses?
Rhinos. I'm a Nottingham boy, just living in Leeds, so I don't embrace the Leeds thing. But they've got a rugby team called the Leeds Rhinos. So if I was going to say associate any animal with Leeds, it would be a rhino.
Because it isn't like the red and white rose thing. Is that a Leeds or is that
That's
Lancashire?
Leeds and Lancashire. Lancashire's red, Leeds is white.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I'm a Midlands boy, just living up north. So
yeah, selling roses at a show, and I don't see that going down. Selling tins of roses. That's the way to that. Set that on merch. JC, if you listen to this, you're welcome.
I think you should start just doing like inflatable rhinos or something, just as a like little like. Well, you nick our ducks, we'll nick your rhinos. That's how it goes. But yeah, well, obviously, it's Nash. Nash has probably just picked up from you guys. He's carried it back up here, and it's like, you know what? I want to sell rubber ducks.
Yeah, I mean, Nash can make anything work. If you gave him like any sofa cushions, go make it work. All right, he'll just do it. Like, he doesn't care, and that's so much fun to be around with someone that's just. It's not that he doesn't care, and he does take himself seriously with what he does. It's just if you're just if you're so willing to just get something over and have fun with something. The crowd are there to have a good time. They're not there to be serious. So, yeah, honestly, hats off to Nash. If he listens to this, it sounds like we're kissing his arse. But you know what? That's fine. Completely fine with that. Great guy.
Credit where credit's due. You mentioned the show where you had the live band playing. So just to clarify, because I know this was kind of touched upon on socials, we talked about it on Twitter a little bit, because, a certain someone is taking full credit for the band just being there to play his music. He's the only person in the UK that has ever had a band play his entrance. Just him by himself. I'm not going to be a hoe bag. I'm not being a dosser. I'm not going to mention names. If you want to mention names, that's fine. You said it, not me. But yeah, he claimed that band was just there for his entrance theme, and obviously that is not the case.
No, so the band in the it was called Jesse's Divide. They were like a Stokey institution. 3 guys, just they kind of do with rock music what we do with wrestling. So in between their songs, they have so much banter that it makes you lean into the songs more, because their music is wonderful. But in between songs, they'll just start ripping into each other and trying to trip each other up and try and set each other up for jokes and things like that. It goes beyond music, and that's what a show should do. If a band just comes out, plays the songs that and goes, it's good, but where's the little cherry on the cake? But Jesse's Divide are just wonderful. They showed up, got all their music ready and all this sort of stuff. And this was maybe half an hour before we let in. I said, guys, we've got 4 people in the main event. You're going to play before we start the show and during the interval. Do you want to play their entrance music? And I'm like, yeah, sure. What kind of music do they have? So we gave them all their songs, and I think 2 they knew, because 2 Unlimited is very, very easy for Gabriel Lee. It's just all bass on there. So they knew to play that one. Sash's music, they literally just learned that. So within 10 minutes, it's a few chords, piece of piss. Main event Myatt, I can't remember for the life. I remember what they played for him, because they wanted to play his actual music, but when they would have played something. And Ritmo, they couldn't do Uptown Funk. They didn't know how to do that, but they ended up playing, I think, James Brown, and Ritmo just leaned into James Brown. He absolutely loved it. But it's just one of those things where, say we got the band, was like, do you want to do it? And 2 of them are really big wrestling fans, so they're like, yep, we're cool. So we do the show. We do the raffle, then we're just about to do the main event. I'm in the middle of the ring, and I'm expecting the band to be on stage behind me, setting up ready to play these 4 entrance songs. I kind of like loop round, I'm like, oh, that's the raffle out the way. Who's ready for the main event? Big cheer. Oh, come on, we can be loud in there. Who's ready for your main event? Big cheer. Jesse's. And they're not there. They're at the bar, and people are kind of looking at me, and I'm thinking, again, lean into it. So like I put on my best working at Morrison's during COVID voice, push the mic into my mouth. Jesse Divide, please report to the stage. Jesse Divide to the stage. Thank you. And because you're at the bar, let you just drop their drinks right up on stage. I'm like, you had one job, guys. You had one job. You've got to do it. You've got to lean into it. Otherwise, you just look like an idiot. I'm like, honestly, people can't get the staff. Cannot get those staff. Now are we all ready? Give me the thumb. Yeah, well, give me the thumbs up. And then they just start going for it. Okay, first out in your opening in this main event contest, blah blah blah, and you just went at it from there. Played the 4 entrance songs, and not many people get that. I'm not kissing my arse. That's not me going, oh, we're doing something that no one else has done. Because obviously WWE does it, AEW does it, but you've got plenty of local bands on your doorstep, especially in Stoke. There's a massive, massive music scene in Stoke, loads of local bands, and they're not very expensive. They're going to have their own core audience that they appeal to. So if you want to get new people into your business, you can't just target wrestlers and wrestling fans, target music people. So if you want to come along to a family orientated wrestling show with a rock band that's going to play some safe rock music, nothing too heavy, nothing too sweary, and you get in 2 shows in one for a very decent price. £6 for a ticket is not expensive by any stretch of the imagination. They get to sell their own merch. They get to be featured on all of our footage, and it's there on your doorstep if you want to think. I hate think outside the box. It's so middle management cliche, but it kind of is. It's use these people, put messages out. If you've got room for a band, do it. It's not going to be expensive. They're going to pay you their own way with brand new fans, and hopefully these new fans that they bring into your business, next time when you've not got the band, you're at a different venue, they'll go, I enjoyed the show. The music was a good lead into wrestling. I had a good time. I'm going to go see them even if Jesse Divide aren't playing. Win.
Gosh, exactly. No, I fully agree. And I'm very surprised. Like you said, it's not done more often, or it's not done, at least just once a year by promotions, to make 'cause every promotion likes to think that they've got their WrestleMania. Every promotion in the UK has a show that they will class as being their WrestleMania every year.
Yeah.
I'll make it feel like that then, make, just get local band, put something on, and just, it amazes me. When I saw you guys doing it, I was like, why don't more people do this? It's just common sense. So
I think it's I get why. Obviously, a lot of venues in the UK, a lot of them got very small, low ceilings. Obviously, that kind of nixes wrestling a little bit, and not all of them have got stages. We wouldn't have the band in our regular venue of Silverdale with room on the stage, but it's just a bit too much for that venue, because the one that they played at was much bigger. So it was like, we kind of want to fill any gaps with sound. So we can kind of do it there. We wouldn't always do it with other venues. So I get why they wouldn't do it. But also, again, it's cliche, you spend money to make money, but for companies that only try and get wrestling fans in, I think they're looking at it so short-sighted. You've got to become a new fan at some point. Like we talked about, the 3 types of fan. You start watching it when you were kids. Well, I did. 1989. I was 5 years old. Started watching it there. Became a casual fan, could watch whatever I could on Sky TV back when Sky was terrible, and then now diehard fan. It's in every part of my life, and so everyone's got to start somewhere. So if you're only trying to get already fans, you're just pissing on your own chips. That's just not good. You need to keep getting, because every show we do, even diehard fans, they're going to miss one, they're going to get ill, they're going to forget, they're going to, there'll be the amount of times we've competed against England games, or when the Queen died, or when the Queen had a jubilee. We've got the worst luck in the world with time. I don't know how we keep doing it, but you've got to be able to replace those casual fans. I don't want to say you can't rely on them, and that sounds bad, but you can't go, they'll definitely be there. What if they don't? You've got to keep getting that new fan in. And if you only appeal to wrestling fans, you're just pissing on your chips. You've got to find new fans. You've got to convert fans. Get people along to a rock show and go, what? quite like the wrestling, even if they only like one match. That's one more than they did before they arrived. So then they'd be like, you know what? I thought wrestling was all fake and a load of crap, but you know what? I saw Nash, funniest guy in the world. If he's on the next show, I'll go along to it. Boom, brand new fan. You've created a fan, birthed a fan, call it whatever you want to call it. But that's what you've got to keep doing. And to do that, you need to come outside of that wrestling bubble and get involved with music, get involved with local charities, local businesses, local shops, local groups, because that's where you're going to get new fans from. So
makes all the sense. And like I said, I think you've got it with just the idea of like the Friends poster, just name certain, sometimes show names can get people's attention kind of thing. It's just what you're trying to get eyes on the product, and just the stupidest little thing sometimes can just be that difference between somebody looking at a poster and then looking away and walking off to looking at a poster, looking away and then looking back again, just getting that second look. And that's then when you've kind of got them.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head perfectly. If like the analogy I always give, if you put a poster in a window of a shop, whatever, and someone's just walking past and they catch you just kind of at the corner out of their eye, out of their peripherals, even if it's something you're not interested in, you still want a person to completely make up their mind. Like if it's a poster for cricket, now I'm not a cricket fan in any way, shape or form, and I'm not shitting on cricket for anyone listening to this, but I'll appreciate a good cricket poster. I'll give it a good 5-10 second glance. If I go, I like the colours. Even if that's all it is, just appreciating the colours or the style or the fonts or something, I'll at least give it a second glance. I'll go, okay, yeah, fine, fair enough. But to try and get people to just say, give you that second glance, that's one of the hardest things, just because one thing I hate seeing on posters, so you've got to say 5, 6 people, 7 people, whatever, all on there. You've got all different facial expressions, all this sort of thing, and you've got the names next to them. Now, unless they're an ex-WWE person, which I hate seeing, formerly known as, or from WWE, ex-WWE, ex-TNA, hate it, can't stand it. I hate seeing live American style wrestling. Just say wrestling. Stop putting American on the poster. Nobody in 2024 is going, I wonder if it's that World of Sport stuff. It's not happening. Just put wrestling. Wrestling is fine. But yeah, having just names on the poster of people, just random people, that's not going to entice people in. And when you put that out on a Facebook advert, Facebook counts the amount of letters you've got on your poster. If you can cut some letters off, chances are they'll give their poster a go ahead a lot more. So yeah, hate it. Don't know why they put names on posters. Hate it thing as well.
But dude, last shout out as well. The Animaniacs show title, dude, Pop's huge for that as well. Massive fan of Animaniacs back in the day. So as soon as I saw that, I was just like,
I can't take credit. That was written. We were outside and we were trying to come up with something like. We came up with the that Gwen Stefani song. We were like, oh, this shit is bananas. Can we call it? This show is bananas. No, that's too much. And Ritmo just turned to me and said, why don't you call it like Animaniacs? And everyone just went, oh, there it is.
But there's any need to the max. Yeah.
Can I ask you, because I know we're obviously with time, but can I ask you a question? Right, so something we do on our podcast is, I've taken this from the sort of office world because that's kind of where I came from, and it always get you in meetings and they go, okay, so we're going to review our company today. You're like, oh, for God's sake. And they started doing this thing called stop, start, continue. And since I started doing this on my podcast, it opened up like lots of channels where got people thinking. So say, as the wrestling business as a whole, as you see it, can you tell me one thing that you would love to see stop, one thing you'd love to see start, and one thing that you would love to see continue?
Oh wow! Okay.
So obviously, the start is something that you don't want to happen anymore. Start is something that you've either seen in another business that you would like wrestling to kind of pick up, and continue something that you're proud of, or something that you go, yeah, I love that about wrestling. That's the thing that I want to see continue forever.
Right. Stop is just any negativity in there kind of thing, or just people politicking. Just people just be nice to each other. It's as a business, everybody can help it grow kind of thing. stop being gnarly, stop just trying to steal people's bookings or do people over or just generally not being nice. It's kind of a broad description, but anything that just has a negative impact to a locker room, basically stop it.
Love it.
The starts, I think you kind of like, since you're like the only ones that kind of do it, it's because it's so fresh in my head. Like say like the music, or hybrid it a little bit, cross promote like wrestling with something else. Like say pull the new fans in, get eyes on other things in the area, in the community. So like say whether it's live music, whether it's bands, I don't know, whether it's have a wrestling stand-up comedian comedy night or something, I don't know. Like so you've got an intermission, you've got 15 minutes in a show. Have a couple of stand-up comedians come in and just work the audience who don't smoke, who are just kind of sat there like, oh, okay, I've got nothing to do for 15 minutes. It will help promote them kind of thing. It gives them experience and working in front of an audience. And continue, I would say, where wrestling is now, I think is an amazing place for British wrestling. I've said this numerous times. I think at the minute it is the best. For me personally, in my opinion, it's the best it's been probably forever. Just the amount of promotions, the amount of good promotions, the amount of good schools, the kind of positivity people are riding on the back of COVID. A lot of people lost it for a couple of years. Now they've got it back. They're very freaking happy they got it back and they want to continue. So I want that positivity to continue. I want people to elevate people and just help the scene build and get stronger.
Love it. Yeah, honestly, I think that's perfect. Yeah, I agree with all that.
People don't usually ask me questions, so I'm kind of sat there like, okay, I like that. That's cool.
I honestly do. Trying to shut me up as you've established is it's a task unto itself. But I'm a people person. Like I'll happily just talk people's ears off until they start trying to edge away from me. I'm like, no, come back. We can.
Thank you, for taking the time out to talk to me. It's time's flown by, dude, and literally as much as I would love to keep talking for another hour. My video editor will not allow me to do that. It will just laugh at me and say no. So we've got to stop it at some point. I'd love to do it again though at some point. I just think there's still a lot more to be said.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I want to put together a wrestling podcast roundtable. Get a bunch of podcasters all together. I'm like, all different backgrounds and experiences. That's what I want to do. It's just time schedules is pain, but I reckon we can make it work. But mate, honestly, this has been a pleasure. Honestly, I've loved it. Because I've never met you, but instantly, just this dude's cool. Love him. Big Thundercats fan. So love him.
Yeah, I'll just spoiler alert. I cut away. I had to stop recording for a second just to show the man my sword, and that's not a metaphor. I'm not being rude in any way.
The big meaty man champion.
I'll show you my big meaty sword. That's probably one of Troy's lines. So I don't want to ruin him for it, but dude, as what he's doing, can let people know where they can obviously keep an eye on what you're doing on the socials.
Oh yeah, pretty much everything's just at Pro Wrestling For You, or just PW4U.co.uk. Pretty much everything's all on there. Links to On Demand and Patreon and TikTok and Threads and everything. Just at Pro Wrestling For You, pretty much.
Also, and obviously we'll tag you in on everything as well anyway. So if you're not following Pro Wrestling For You, please click follow on every platform that we put this out on and show some support. If you're at a show or if you're near a show when one's on, please buy a ticket. Please go watch it. Please buy some merch. Ask for the sexy goth boy t-shirts when they're coming out, so they eventually get made. So I'm pushing. I need Isaac to come out just wearing. So and if somebody can do like the HBK sexy boy music, but just say sexy goth, I'll just I'm like yes.
Oh, people. Oh god.
Dude, it's there now. That's it. You see, I'm planting the seeds. That's what I do. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Obviously, hit like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the stuff I always ask you to do. Honestly, Phil, thank you so much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Loved it. And like I say, we'll do it again at some point, hopefully.
Yeah.
Sweet. We'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.